What is going on, guys? This versus All Gaming with my review of Sword Art Online Season 2, Episode 23. And this episode, it was actually pretty simple. Now, the episode itself, it starts off now in the real world where we have Kirito and Asuna. They're at school, and we see that Kirito, he was like working with two other students, and they were working on some kind of device that would actually let Yuuki, not Asuna Yuuki, but Yuuki, our character from the game, this device, it will let her see in the real world and also let her interact with like people as well, because she can't talk through it. And so we see that while they were working on it, and of course, they were trying to make sure that it'd be perfect. We have Asuna. She was getting kind of impatient with them, but that right there, like for some reason, it made me chuckle, because even though like they were doing it for her, and they wanted to make sure they got it right, she was kind of rushing them. And so we see now that after they got it all together, and of course like Yuuki gets seen everything, we have Asuna taking her to the faculty office, and we actually learned that like Yuuki has never really been a fan of them, which is why she was kind of nervous. But we see now the teachers, they were actually fine with her being here and like Asuna doing this. And so of course to me, I feel like that right there, like I'm pretty sure people should not really have a problem with that to begin with, but it was definitely nice that her teachers, like had her back on this. And so now we see that when Asuna had went to her first class, and we see that these students, they were all talking. When they call out Asuna, because they had called her by her last name, which is also Yuuki. We have Yuuki, from the machine. She thought they were talking about her, and so I'm guessing that like that Asuna never told her last name, which is kind of weird. But that right there, it's just like a small detail anyway. But now we see that when all the other students learn about Yuuki, they all pretty much swarm on Asuna, and you can just tell she was just so freaking uncomfortable. But to me, that right there, kind of made me laugh. But I definitely like how accepting these students were, of Yuuki. That right there was definitely a very nice sight to see. And so now we see that when the teacher came into class and it started, they were going to read this book. And at first I thought that like maybe he would call on another student, but he actually called out on Yuuki. And Asuna was worried at first that maybe Yuuki can handle this, but she actually read it pretty well. And when she was done, and we have all the other students even like praising her for it, but once again they were all swarming around Asuna, and you can just tell she was not used to this, and she was definitely very uncomfortable. But so after school, because like we only saw that one class, we have Asuna and Yuuki. They were talking, and Yuuki here was acting kind of depressed, because she was acting like this right here would be her only day doing this, even though the teachers, they told her that she could pretty much come anytime she wanted to. And so now like after Asuna had tried to cheer her up, we see now that she asked her if there was like any place that she had wanted to go to. And so now we see that at this place, because after they had walked for a while, it was actually the house where she used to live. And in this house now, we can see that even though it was obvious that like nobody had lived there, it was still in pretty good condition. But we do learn that this house, she actually lived there for like less than a year, I believe, and we see now that it might be teared down because Yuki's grandmother, she either wants to sell it or make it into a convenience store. And so now we see that after that we have Yuuki and Asuna talking, and we have Asuna will making the joke that next year when like Yuuki turns 16, and if she gets married, then her husband will protect her for her forever. And so now we see that right there, like it can't really happen, but obviously like Yuuki knew it was a joke, and she even she even turned joke around back on her, and she asked Asuna if she would like marry her, and that right there definitely like made me laugh. But obviously it won't happen, and Yuki even knows that like Asuna has someone special, which is Kirito. But for some reason, Yuki, she gave Asuna a warning about Kirito, saying that he lives reality, like different from her, which like pretty much mean, reality different from everyone. So I do wish that like she had that Yuki would have went into detail about what she meant about that, because to me it was kind of confusing, because we all know Kirito is definitely a lot different in the games than he is in the real world. So maybe that was just what she meant. I'm not really sure, but I do wish that she would have explained herself a little better than that. So now we see that now we see that Asuna, she definitely has a lot going on, and we have seen that pretty much throughout the second of the series. And so now we see that she actually wanted to know how in the world can Yuki be so strong. But we did learn like Yuki was not always like that. In reality, she always pretended to be somebody else. But that right there was to make sure that right there was actually, to make sure that her parents would not be sad. And we see that her mother, she was like actually very, very religious. And so she would like always quote the Bible or something, and that right there kind of rubbed Yuki the wrong way. But as she got older now, she definitely understood, like what her mother words meant, and Asuna is definitely a character that had been struggling, with her own mother for a very long time. And so now we see that Yuki, she pretty much gave Asuna the strength to actually confront her mother, because Yuki said that you can only understand some things by fighting. And so of course, like from the first time we really saw Asuna and her mother interact, they were like already butting heads, so you could tell that a fight could definitely happen. But when Asuna actually tries, we see now that her plan was to actually get her mother to go, into the gaming world. And we see that when she does talk to her mother, at first she will obviously turn her down. But after, pretty much begging her, to give it a chance, we have Asuna's mother actually going into LAO, and she's gonna play on Asuna's sub account. And we see now that when both of them were in the gaming world, we have Asuna's mother, checking herself out. And now seeing Asuna's avatar again, like actually in the game and not in a still shot, I do wish that Asuna would play on that account more, because that character, I don't know why, but for some reason I am digging it. I am definitely digging that design. I don't know why, but we see now that her mother thought this was like weird at first, because obviously that right there was not her face, and obviously these avatars, they are definitely a lot lighter than the human body in the real world. And so we see now that when like Asuna made this comment about that, her mother thought that she was being rude, but she did notice that Asuna's character or her avatar looks like exactly the same, in the real world, but she called her real world self pudgier, and that right there was kind of messed up. But it made me laugh some, because I felt like the only reason why her mother said that, it was because of that weight comment that Asuna made earlier on. And so now we see that eventually what Asuna like wants to show her, it was this view, and we see her now go into this dark room, and when she lifts up the window, we see now that it was snowing, and it is snow here. I'm pretty sure that right there had to remind her mother about her childhood, and it also kind of reminded Asuna about her own, especially when she was a lot younger, because we do get these two quick flashbacks, and they were of a very much younger Asuna. And so we see now that her parents, they also lived in a cottage, and it looked very similar to the house that Asuna lives in now. And so we see that like in one of the flashbacks, we have Asuna with her grandparents, and her grandmother like peeling her an orange. And then in the other one, it was about her grandfather calling her mother their treasure. and also it definitely kind of got a bit filthy because we have her grandfather saying that these two will protect the mountain forever, because if her mother ever needs a place, then obviously, then obviously she can always come here. And so we see now that afterwards, her mother, for the first time, she actually broke down and she started to cry, because normally in a real world she would hide her emotions, but in this game she can't do that. And so of course, her plan, it was working, because obviously if she was not reaching through her mother, then there is no way that she would start crying like that. And so now we see, Asuna, comforting her. And so the following day, we have Asuna joining her mother for breakfast, and we have her mother asking her if she's ready, to support someone for the rest of her life, because Asuna's dream is to always, make the lives other people close to her better, which is why she does not want to change school or even leave them. So that right there makes sense. But her mother told her that she must bring her grades up, because she needs to go to a university if she wants to make her dreams come true. And so now we see her mother is definitely supporting her. And so we see that once she leaves, she thanks her, and she also thanks Yuuki as well, because Yuuki was the one that gave her the strength to do this. And so the episode was definitely good. I am glad that we did get to see Yuuki have a day out with Asuna, because these two are obviously close. And we also have Asuna and her mother finally making up, and they are now on the same page as well. And of course, with those little bit of feels, I do wonder though, because I had the random thought, what if her mother actually starts playing the game? That right there would be crazy, but of course, it probably won't happen. But the episode itself, it was good. And so right now, I think I'm going to give it probably a 7 out of 10. And next week is actually the ending. So SAO 2 is ending next week. And so I do hope that right there, will be good. But of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But as always, you guys take it easy. And I will see you all next time.